Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Voices for Voices TV show and podcast. I'm your host, founder, and executive director of Voices for Voices, Justin Allen Hayes. If you can do us a big favor, give us a big thumbs up, like, subscribe, share, follow, all those things. All those things are free. We would greatly appreciate it. Thank you for joining us. If this is your first episode or you've been with us from the beginning, we're reaching corners of the world that I never really, well, I did dream about, but that are actually come into fruition, which is just really incredible. And that just shows that there's an interest. We know there's high-level interest. We're not going to get into that every single episode, but just to know that individuals know Voices for Voices and know that we're a 501c3 nonprofit, that when they look at our social media, we don't have millions of followers. We don't even have a couple hundred on just about all of our platforms. But if you do look at the content we post, it's high quality, it's episodes, it's information, guests, and sharing their journeys. I'm sharing my journey. So each episode that I host solo or with guests, it's a little bit therapeutic for me to be able to just talk through things that are happening and going on in my life from that mental health and trauma perspective, as well as the organization and things that we're doing. Some things, many things actually, are going to be taking place. We're going to be able to share a little bit more in the second half of 2025 than the first half, and you'll be made aware of through public statements that I'll be most likely giving on those topics and in those areas. But it's an exciting time. We, as you know, we're a charity, and a big thing that we do, one of the primary things we do, is we advocate. We advocate for ourselves, so individuals associated with Voices for Voices and individuals not associated with Voices for Voices. So we advocate, and you might think, well, what's an advocate? And well, I'm not going to give some Oxford textbook definition, and I'll tell you what advocate means to me and us as an organization, and hopefully it'll shed a little bit more light on what you see and what you hear, and how when you do come in contact with Voices for Voices in person or through our shows, that there'll be a little bit more information in your mind about us and about an advocate. So an advocate simply means you're helping somebody, you're trying to help somebody. It could be one person, it could be a group of people. It really just depends. One day, maybe helping one person, another day, it may be an organization or a group of people that you're helping and that we're helping. And so that's first and foremost what an advocate is we're helping somebody somewhere at some time. That's what we are as an advocate. That's what we are as an organization. That's what we are as a charity, and that's what I wake up to every day and think of ways to better serve, better communicate to you, whether you're watching or listening, or you're reading a transcript of one of our shows, that you're able to consume that a little bit easier. And right when you have more practice, you get a little bit better. And I'd like to think that over the 270 plus episodes that we've filmed, at this point, on our way to 300, which again, we're going to hit that with in-studio, out-of-studio episodes total by the end of 2025. But by just being true to ourselves about what's happening in the world, and this isn't even like a political statement, this is just a human statement, that we feel that there's some things, some areas that as a society, as a public, that we could do a little bit better on. As individuals, right? We look at, you know, these maybe like a performance review, and we come up with these goals, and then 6 months or a year or weekly or monthly, whatever the cadence may be, then we're graded against that and say, oh, well, you know, you did great on this, and we could do better here and there. And so that's what we're trying to constantly do, is to do better in all areas. And by doing better, it might not come across as better. I'll give you an example, right? So if you checked out the last 2 studio episodes we did, and actually probably maybe the last 10 or 15 total episodes we've done, you know, it's on pretty heavy topics. Hard to talk about, hard to share about. There's, you know, obvious safety concerns and things that come with being the advocates that we are. However, we have to look at our lives and think, what part of it is what I'm good at or what I like to do, and then the other part is what's going to keep me wanting to continue to do what I'm doing for longer than a couple of episodes. Let's give you an example. We were notified after we hit the number 250 of our total episodes in studio, out of studio, from a third party. We didn't know them. And there's research that is out that basically summarizes that it's rare, if we look at like all the podcasts, all the shows that are out there, it's rare so it just means like a smaller amount than like the whole. So let's just say if there's 100, let's say like, I don't know, maybe 5 or 10 of those 100 make it to 250, and for one reason or another, others don't. And so that was huge to hear that from like a third party, right? Because we read and we listen and we read and we listen, we read and we listen, and to actually have somebody else share that, it means a lot. And frankly, it helped continue invigorating me to share and to talk and do many more out of studio episodes, so that I can feel like I'm being useful. I know I'm useful, but in my mind, I'm like, you know what? Like, there's probably something today or tomorrow that I could probably have an episode and share and talk about, and it could help somebody. And so that's the other side of it, is I wake up because I like what I do and I like helping people. And so for me, for all the episodes we do, all the events we have or don't have, all the conventions and all these things, at the end of the day, for me, if you asked me 20 years ago, I'd have a much different answer, which I think we all might, as far as, you know, what we wanted to get out of life and, you know, in our final days. And I've talked about that. Just to be frank, like, you know, 20 years ago, it was all about me. It was all about me. It was all about me. It was all about my title. It was all about the money that I'd accumulated. And as I stand here, or if you're listening, I'm standing as we're doing this particular episode and or in studio episode, and I just think about, okay, well, in my final days here on Earth, I'm not going to be able to take a car with me. I'm not going to be able to take a phone with me. I'm not going to, my cousin had a good example, and I may have shared it, but I think it's very pertinent. Is if you go to Graceland, you see all of Elvis's things, Elvis Presley. But what you don't see Elvis there. So you don't see. So Elvis didn't take his cars, didn't take those possessions, their golden rings or their watches, and whatever those things may be. And so that's a huge part of what Voices for Voices really was born out of, was that wanting to do more, to not be so focused on material things, and so that's where where an advocate kind of comes into play. Of, well, if I'm helping, who am I helping? How am I helping? Why am I helping? And so that's where the name Voices for Voices came from. We had an event, and now it's turned into award shows that we're doing here as episodes, and I don't know how things are going to progress from here, but if this is the last episode that I ever do, I'll know that I gave it 1,000%. I did the best I could. I shared as much as I could. I talked about the hard topics, made some people smile, laugh, cry, be upset, be angry, all the different emotions. And that's just us as human beings. We do. We all have emotions, whether we don't think we do, or we don't, or we don't think like, oh, I can't cry or I can't show an emotion because of whatever reason. And I had to get past that point myself of like not being so concerned about what others think in a general sense, that I have to be more concerned with what I think. And where I'm at in my headspace now is in that helping space, where that's helping others. So while it's nice to get recognized and nice to meet individuals who some are famous, some are well known, some aren't. It doesn't matter. Just the fact that I'm able to, and we were able to have that impact. So we are not only a charity, but we're an advocate, and we're an advocate for all voices, all shapes and sizes, and that's something I can get behind. That's something I have gotten behind. Others have gotten behind. That we're getting. To give an example, I got feedback from a listener or viewer. I'm not sure how they consume our content, but they said they're a supporter of our show. Doesn't mean that they have to be donating money. It's just, we support your show, what it's about, the organization, and this individual has cancer, and so that, touched me on so many levels. One is, my father passed away last year due to cancer. So it hits home personally of, I don't know from the person having the cancer what it's like, but I know what it's like to be a loving family member for a person that is going through cancer, regardless of what kind it is or what stage it's at, and what all the probabilities are. And so when I got that feedback, it wasn't long. It wasn't like 3 paragraphs long saying how great we are It was just more like, keep doing what you're doing. I support what you're doing. I'm a cancer survivor going through treatment. I don't have it all memorized. And so when I get that type of feedback, that also helps me have a better understanding that what we're doing does have purpose. That may have started selfishly, like, here's what I want to do with Voices for Voices. But on that very night that we had the event during COVID, and we were able to have almost 20 people share their stories. Some were in person and some were as far away as New South Wales, Australia. Allison Rose Clark, she's a survivor of abuse, and she has been a good friend of mine and the organization since really the beginning. Has been inspiring to continue on, that there's going to be days where you're not going to want to feel like doing a whole lot, or it might feel like you're not making a difference because, well, yesterday I got this feedback, but I didn't get it today. So what changed from yesterday to today? And so to bring all those voices together, have been through some type of abuse, some type of addiction, some type of recovery, trauma. It was just incredible to bring people together like that. And one of the big goals, actually two of my big goals, that you know about, the one you definitely know about, the second one I don't mention a lot, but I did mention at that very first event. So the first big goal we have, so if you're wondering like, oh, well, you're just a TV show and podcast and blah, blah, blah. Well, number one, it takes money to do a lot of things. And as an advocate, and I can speak from experience, I'm all in with every ounce of being, but that doesn't mean that there's unlimited money to be able to do some of the things that we want to do. One of which is one of the big ones is to either build or have a facility either in Northeast Ohio or somewhere centrally located around the United States where all mental health care is covered. And we have a lot of addiction and recovery centers. We're doing a lot of fantastic work out there. This isn't to take away anything from what they're doing, excuse me. But I look at a benchmark like St. Jude's and what they do for childhood cancer, where people travel from all over the United States, and I think sometimes maybe all over the world. They're never charged for the care that they receive. They're never charged for travel expenses. They're never charged for food. And that's the big goal that I have, is to have a mental health focused one of those types of models, where it doesn't matter who you are, where you're from, what you're going through. If you just had a panic attack today and you need help, you can go in and get help. You can be connected, and all those expenses, everything will be covered. That and one of the big reasons why I want to do that is when I was at my lowest and I hit rock bottom mental health wise, you look at me or you hear my voice, so I represent what could be thought of as a demographic that doesn't have trouble paying for things, and oh, well, if you need to be seen by a doctor, well, you have insurance and you got the money to pay for this and that and the other. Well, one of the big things I had to get over when I was sitting for the third time in 2 weeks in the emergency room at Akron General Hospital, where I was deciding to voluntarily admit myself into a psych ward to get things under control or to not, I had to let go of like my ego and the pride and everything, and I had to say, I need help. But part of that also, that decision, was the money. Well, we're being told it might be 5 days. And well, a 5-day hospital stay, it's a lot of money. You're darn right it's a lot of money. And so while I may look the demographic or sound like the demographic that doesn't have a problem, and like, oh yeah, it's easy for you to say, white, Caucasian, male, easy for you to say, but not for me. Well, when I left that hospital after the 5 days, with insurance, there was still over $20,000 of cost that needed paid. And I didn't have a job at the time. I'd just been married for coming up on 6 months. And it was just a very scary time for that. And so part of my decision was like, I need help, but I can't pay for this. I don't know what it's going to be. Luckily, and I'm saying luckily, because it could have happened a different way. It was communicated through different channels to take care of yourself, not worry about what the cost is. And so when I heard that, I was like, all right, Justin, we need to get help. So when I take that back and talk about wanting a facility where anybody can walk in and not have to pay for anything, that's why. Because whether you're the demographic, whether you look it, whether you sound it, whether you live in a certain area or you come from a certain name and pedigree and whatever that is, I don't want that to matter, and it shouldn't matter, because we're all human beings and we all should be able to get the same help without having to worry about, oh crap, well, if he had to pay $20,000, I may have to pay $40,000. I can't afford that. Like, heck no. So that's a big reason why that's one of our big goals. And that costs money. And that costs more than $5 or $20. And we accept donations of all sizes. Don't get me wrong. We value and we're able to do some things with the donations that we get and with the help that we receive. And that's A-okay with me. But for us to be able to get to that point of where I want to be at, that's the big goal. And I don't talk about that a whole lot. Maybe I should. Maybe I should. I don't know. I don't. This is the first time I've gone through something like this. I've never had a show, a podcast before, and so I don't know. Maybe I should talk about it more. I'm learning, and so that's the really big goal that I have of, I talk about wanting to help 3 billion people over the course of my lifetime and beyond. I know that I can't do that alone. Our organization can't do it alone. And I know that if we continue in that positive track, that we're going to be helping people long past when I'm here on earth and pass away. So that's where that legacy of wanting to pass that along and pass that torch and have individuals to be just as passionate as I am and we are at Voices for Voices to want to do something like that. It's easy to be a bystander and walk by and pretend something's not happening or we didn't see it or I don't want to get involved. Well, I'm the exception to that rule because I do want to get involved, and I am, and we are, as an organization. We talk about topics that like, oh, I can't believe they're talking about human trafficking. Oh, that's a dangerous, yeah, it is. Well, there's a lot of dangerous things that can happen. We could get in our cars and be in an accident and have tragic injuries or pass away. That could happen. There's a lot of things that can happen. But I want to be mindful and to know in my mind that whenever my time's up here on earth, that I did everything I could for all types, all individuals that I was able to come across. If there's a demographic, or if there's individuals that you want to reach out, be a guest on our show, please reach out. Let us know. We want to hear from you. And you don't have to talk a whole lot. I trust. I mean, you can tell. I can do the talking thing pretty good as far as filling up time. And just to know that by you coming on the show, or somebody you know coming on the show, even if you're like, you know what, I just want to do an audio. We'll do an audio. We'll do a phone call, and we've done that before. Well, I could do Zoom, and okay, well, we've done Zoom before. Well, I want to be in studio. Well, we've done that before. So there's not really a method that we haven't done as far as, bringing guests on the show, as far as that goes. Obviously, we communicate ahead of time, so we know that. So that we have an idea of what the flow of the day, the filming day is going to be. But other than that, you don't have to do anything. Have note cards, have information that you want to share. Talk about experiences, talk about events, talk about things that change your life for the better, or that if somebody else is in the position you were, that you want to share with somebody to help them get through, to know that life is worth living, that we all are valuable, we all have things to offer. Obviously, not all of our things that we offer are the same. So they can take all kinds of different forms. It could be a musician, it could be a landscaper, it could be somebody who works construction. We need all those. We need all of you. We need all of you with us, no matter what that is. And it doesn't have to be glitzy and glamorous. To be like, oh, I can't be on because whatever. Well, we want to have you on. We want to share your story, because by sharing your story is going to help at least one other person. And then that there might be even a second person might be helping you too. I mean, like, wow, like I've never been to therapy, and just by talking, I feel a little bit better. And I'll just close this episode on, for me, for therapy, I've had therapy since 2017. It's something that's continuous in my life. If you go to therapy, it doesn't make you weak, it makes you strong. Every time I come out of a therapy session, even if it's just a teeny bit, there's just a teeny bit less stress that I have when I leave. And so for me, as long as there's a teeny bit less stress, I'm going to continue to do it. And you should too. Don't think you're alone, because you're not alone. I'm not alone. None of us are alone. None of the 7 billion of us plus in the world are alone. So thank you for joining us. Please be a voice for you or somebody in need. And God bless you. God bless America, and God bless the world.